How's it going, everyone? It is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. Let's take a look at the picks from the last video. I gave out Twilio as a long. So here's Twilio on the D1 chart. Nice post-earnings bull, continuing up onwards. Now, had a little check, has been starting to rally ever since that little check. And stock has had some very, very nice volume. So yesterday, what I liked about Twilio was that right over here, we got this one OP cross and a new high of the day. Stock was on a buy signal. And if we look at SPY yesterday, stock was selling off. Now, as soon as the market started to find some support right over here at 12, you can see actually stock is starting to rally in this last leg of the market decline. So that's a really nice, relatively strong stock, right? Holding its own, holding its own, holding its own, holding its own. All right, so it's gaining that relative strength. And then market finds some support at the 50. Now it really starts to bounce up over here at 1220. So even if you wait a little bit, right, let's say you get it into 1220. Now you're riding this 1 OP cross up over here. And market rallies, but Twilio actually starts to compress. We get the exit signal over here. We get this thing starting to cross over here. So if you exit out somewhere over here, you basically break even on the trade. Maybe you can get a tiny win on that. So you have plenty of time for this stock to move and produce. Doesn't quite move, so this should be a scratch. Now stock once again had a deeper pullback, and if we zoom out a little bit, you'll see that, okay, we're going up higher. We have a deeper pullback. If we get another shallow pullback and break above this high, then that could be a nice, another little breakout trade opportunity. So I am going to set an alert right over here on Twilio. And that can be a nice one to day trade. Stock did gain some relative strength over here as it broke above VWAP through this high minus trend line. Didn't get quite on a buy signal, but we did have a nice 1 OP bullish cross and told us to start to take some profits over here. So yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty decent. But it has a little bit of resistance at that 5-day high, but it's made a really nice move in the past couple of days. And I think the real breakout over here was getting in early. That's kind of the thing. It kind of makes this move early, kind of stalls out, right? Move early, stalls out. Here's this move, starts to stall out. So you want to get this in a little bit earlier in the day on the stock. But these buy and sell signals have been very, very nice on Twilio. Just look at this M15 here. Yep, so it's on a buy signal. Got a little exit over there. Backing it over here. All right, so that was a scratch. Other stock we had was AFRM. I took a scratch / tiny win on this, but really pretty much took a scratch on this. So stock, we bought it right over here. So pulling back, started to break out, and our thesis at the time was that we'd target close to around, I don't know, call it $50, right? So at the top of this candle over here, $50, and that would be a, you know, somewhere between a 40 and 50% gain. Our stop is right over here, 42. I know it's still loading, but there is a AVWAP E. We have the SMA 50 and a low plus trend line coming into play. So we're buying at the bottom of this bullish channel, and we got the stock right. No, we did not get the market right. Yep, so there is the stock. Now, the market started to sell off over here, testing the 50 SMA and chopping back and forth between AVWAP-Q and that 50 SMA. Now, this stock did manage to hold its own, and when the market started to rally today, right, we actually managed to take a scratch on this. So here is it from the 30th to the 5th. Here is SPY from the 30th to the 5th. So, you know, that's the power of relative strength, able to take a tiny win when we got the market wrong. So I can take out this green line. That green line was my break-even line. And then I had a target. I got in at 705, so I got in somewhere over here on a nice pullback. And I got out on this 11 o'clock candle over here, selling into strength. Probably got out somewhere, somewhere over here. Stock still maybe shot a little bit higher. The peak I saw was somewhere close to 728. But, I got a pretty... I'll take this tiny willow win over here on that stock. And again, I knew that it would probably at least test or come close to testing this all-time high. I didn't know if we would actually test it, but thankfully for the high IVs going into earnings, I didn't get a lot of theta loss over here. So it offset some of that theta loss with that rising IV, and I was able to get, a decent scratch on that. So it is affirm. Let's look at MBLY. So from taking the stock over here, on the close here, we had a chance to maybe take a scratch, small loss over here. Stock is kind of grinding back down or grinding back lower. Looking this on the D1 chart, it's holding its own, not really rallying too much today. May have to digest the gains, but we're leading on that A VWAP E. Here's the stock intraday. You can see it testing this level, test, starting to rally up a little bit over here. And yeah, I mean, stock is starting to get above that level. Yeah, a little bit of reaction over there intraday. Just doing a little bit more analysis. You can check that bearish engulfing candle. Yeah, so it kind of lines up at the same time. So sellers kind of chopping around over here. It's a bit, kind of flat, but we're holding our own, right? We're kind of flagging this really big move. We're also breaking through this downward sloping trend line. So that's what I like. So a couple of failed attempts over here, but I still like the stock. It's still holding its own. I haven't seen a ton of really heavy selling, and I do believe it has a path to continue higher and get close to testing this SMA 100. So still in Movi as a small position. Let's take a look at the market today, and not a lot has changed from yesterday in terms of our long-term analysis. We're still bullish fundamentally. Technically, again, we're also still bullish on a longer-term basis, but we're knowing kind of the factors that can change it. So if we see a deep drop, that's going to get us more cautious, a little bit less bullish, unless we see some sort of nice, strong rally from that deep drop. That's what I would trade. If we hold this, right, then we start to rally up and make challenges all-time high, that would also be pretty bullish. So this would be a dip in the trend. If we see that follow through tomorrow, maybe we can take some starter longs. You're into FOMC, so you don't want to get too crazy here. Maybe have one small swing long here going into that meeting, but really playing it pretty light and not kind of being too overextended here. I really feel better about taking swings after a lot of the dust has settled, maybe Friday. That's when I feel good about it. So right now, pretty much I'm in all cash at the moment, except, Mobley, but that's the pick for the video. So I'm not in the stock personally, but that's a pick that I recommended since I wanted to give a pick. Now, shorter term outlook for the market. Yesterday, had another LPTE day, came close to testing the 50, popped back up, low volume, had a deeper test, poked below a little bit, and then we got a bounce up, and then we just started to kind of pitter-patter around, not too much. So we had tested the 50 with a couple with some decent frequency here, right? There's one test here, almost a test here. Here's another test. Here's another test. So we're poking through this a couple of times. 50 SMA is holding. Now, I didn't think it would break because I did think there would be a little bit of a bid. I don't think we'd see any major sell-off ahead of election. But it was nothing that we could really get long on, but also nothing we could really get aggressively short with. So you kind of just have to wait. There might have been a couple of day trading opportunities here, but for most traders, you're better off trading and not waiting, right? A big part of trading is knowing when not to trade. And, I think we had a window at the 9th, I'd say 9th and 10th. We had a nice little window to take some trades all the way up to the 17th on this gap up. double top here. And then since the 18th onwards, I think it's been some pretty terrible trading conditions. Very low volume, very choppy, a lot of pending news coming out. We were through a lot of the news from last week, and then there were just, earnings that had to come out. Again, election, FOMC. This is kind of the last little leg of releases. We have the CPI stuff next week, but that's been sort of more discounted as we go on. So a lot of just waiting around, right? And you can see the quality of this rally waiting. We get a dip, waiting, a little bit of a dip, not really. We kind of compress here, and then we start to grind up higher. So it's a very sluggish rally. You want to get in, well on these technical breakouts, ride them out, and then, take gains when they start to stall a little bit here, and we don't start to make a new high very, very quickly. So, that's kind of the outlook for today. Looking at this intraday chart, we had a small gap up, and we started to get some volume in here. So we got some decent volume in these bars. And then we started to chop around over here, grinding up higher. So we're breaking through that AV WAPQ. That's coming into play at 540.80. So if I look at 540.80, right around here. So you can see we broke through, test, test, test. So we're holding an AV WAPQ right now. This is a pretty interesting candle. Holding that right now, and then really we pretty much died for the rest of the day. So after 11:30, right, we had to move up, and then we pretty much been flatlined. So big chunk of the move was today, and then after that, day was pretty dead. Not really a whole lot going on. So there were some decent picks, and I'm going to go over a couple that I liked. So first one right here, PINC, ton of strength, ton of volume, post-earning moves, super big technical breakout. So here's what I liked about the stock. Rallied, and then here's a clue. So market pulls back somewhere around 11:30, right? So here's the market 11:30, pulling back over here. Stock is holding its relative strength. There's a nice little trade in there, although you have to trade against that one apiece cycle. Maybe I wouldn't have taken that trade. The other cycle you could have done is market rally. Test VWAP over here. It holds. We get this little green candle at 11:05. If I look at 11:05 here, also not quite lining up. So if I look at this trade, it's not the best 1OP candidate. If I get an entry, maybe over here, breaking above the high of the day. Yeah, it's not a bad entry point. Sort of compressing, losing its relative strength, getting it back up. So PNC, you could, I think it's a good candidate. A little bit harder to trade. If I look at something like Reddit, really nice big move today. Good long setup. Let's take a look at the intraday charts. So here we have a really nice setup. So bullish cycle produced, bearish cycle diverging. We get our bullish cross right here. We're on a buy signal, 1250. Ride that guy all the way up over here, and you have a really nice chunk of gains from 1162, all the way to yeah, so that's like about 250. So nice amount of gains on that stock. That would probably be the trade that I would have taken, as the stock is gaining some relative strength. And this 1OP bullish cross really does front run over here. So here is if we zoom back in over here, here is our setup, right? Here's what the setup looks like. Again, we want that produce, and then we want the divergence. Now, in the divergence too, you can see it's a pretty weak bear cycle. So we start the divergence right over here, right? And we finish the divergence over here. So the stock has moved higher during the bear cycle. That is the definition of the divergence. So here, maybe here, right? Tells us to be careful. And then as we're starting to diverge, we get that buy signal. We have relative strength. So really, really nice stuff on Reddit. Now, third pick I like, and it'll probably be my pick for this video, although, I don't know if I would take it. I may take it here. Let's see. So we have Team, and I really like Team. So first on this D1 chart, we got the post-earnings breakout. really big moves, some nice volume. Stock held all the gains, and it's been kind of digesting all the gains today. You can see we broke through this low minus trend line. If you drop a couple of anchored VWAPs too, they kind of coincide around here. And so we had through this compression over here, also some horizontal resistance, and then we broke through that compression. So I like team. Really clean breakout, lot of volume. Now let's zoom into this intraday chart. So team right here, and I've dropped this anchored VWAP on the open. I think that's going to be pretty helpful. So we gap up over here. We're chopping around. We test. And what I love about this stock is that it's testing this low right here at 215. So we get one test early on the first, second test on the fourth, little test on the fifth, little test on, I guess, second on the fifth today. We get a higher low double bottom, start to rally back up. So now we're actually getting a little bit of a bid. We're starting to rally up higher, but we still have to get above this AVWAP, this anchored VWAP from, and I'm going to draw it from this opening candle here. I do want to get a better color though, so I'm going to make this pink and do that. All right, so anchored VWAP from the opening candle. So we broke through that level right here. Now we've come back, we're retesting that level. We're getting a little bit of volume and strength over here. So I like what I'm seeing in team. We also broke through this high minus trend line over here. And this is a pretty good level. So, maybe you could take a small position as an overnight swing on this stock. Maybe that's potentially what I could recommend, but I'd want to see some relative strength. I'd want to see a little bit more volume, but we have retested this level. So once we retested it, when we find some buyers and we're good to go, that'll be my pick. So that is our pick for today's video. You can decide if you want to take it or not. I'm not going to officially take it, but I think we may take it tomorrow. So I think what I'm going to recommend, this is going to be a no pick day, but we're going to keep an eye on team. I like what I'm seeing here. I think it's about to set up. I'm just going to wait for all the information tomorrow. Look, if it ends up being a 20% chance that we don't really rally from the election and we sell off, then we'll be happy we didn't get in on team. If it does do really well and we get some buying, then team should really start to skyrocket and potentially challenge this resistance candle right over here around 230. So we have a really nice risk reward. Our stop here is 215, getting in somewhere around 221, 222. So that's $7. We're getting a nice 1-to-1 over here, and we're going to start to catch the move as it gets some relative strength. So that's it for today's video. No official pick. I've decided. We're going to stay to the sidelines, but we're going to keep an eye on team and see how that stock does in tomorrow's video. So thank you for watching, everyone, and we will take a look at Mobley and team tomorrow.